Hello, everybody. What is up, YouTube? I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. WW. Okay, okay. All right. We're hearing everything. We're hearing everything. Shout out to Llama Villager, Llama Hoogly Bro, who is moderating this chat for me. Um, yeah, yeah. So, how's everyone doing? I'm gonna let this marinate a little bit before we get started. I'm gonna just sit here and like yap for a little bit, just drink some of my salt water over here. So, uh, hold on. Yeah, welcome to the new show. Okay, this is officially a show. It's called Deported Archives. Okay, it's going to be educational content brought to you by yours truly, and I'm gonna partner with some other people maybe, and yeah. But I'm just trying to take this channel into a different direction. I'm trying to stream more. I really want to stream almost every day. Obviously, it's not always possible, but that's the goal. I can't mod because I am not a mod. Oh, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later. I'll make you a mod later. Don't worry. I'll make you a mod later. W Llama Villager. He's my most loyal dude. Okay. So deported archives. What direction are we gonna take this in? I'm gonna take these out because I feel like I'm yelling. But I'm gonna put them back in for the videos. So deported archives is going to be like just informational content, educational content, mostly reacting to videos on YouTube, and because I'm not an expert in any of these fields either, but I'm trying to learn. But I also really want to have like experts on different topics on when we're covering different things. So today is episode one, and we're going to be covering psychology. Okay, so let's see, this better work. Put a W in the chat. You can see my slideshow now. W's in the chat if you can see my slideshow, my slide screen. Mod. Just Llama HB, Hoogly Bro. WWW. All right, appreciate it. Okay, so let's see. Psychology and Avatar: The Last Airbender, or ATLA, is what I call it for short. So, this is going to be a psychology stream. This more goes hand in hand with my writing streams, which I'm also going to start pretty soon. And it's going to be more very heavily dependent upon fictional characters and like analyzing their like mental characteristics, their behavior, and yeah, just like their psychology. And this really translates very well into everyday life and how people analyze people. Also, it's Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like the best show ever. Like, obviously, I want to talk about it. Yeah, let's get started. Let's get so. Also, uh, the slides are made by yours truly. Yes, I am clearly abusing AI in these, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, let's get to it. Oh shoot. Time out. All right. I should be over here now. Yeah, all right. So, slide one, intro to psychology and Avatar: The Last Airbender. So this is going to be a series, as you can see. I can come down over here. I've already planned episode 2 and episode 3 of these streams. So I'm gonna do at least 4 or 5 videos on this. Or this is a stream right now, but I'm gonna cut them up and upload them on the channel. Um, hold on, the chat. Okay, all right, the chat's back. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to cut them up and put them on the channel as well. There's gonna be at least a few parts. I might stream some episodes back to back. It depends how I feel. Let's get into it. Yeah. So intro to the psychology in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Avatar: The Last Airbender, or ATLA, is arguably the best show to ever be created for several reasons: the world building, visual art style, and overall writing are all phenomenal. What really makes Avatar stand out is its character arcs. Almost every character introduced in the show goes on a journey and learns a lesson about life that the audience experiences as well. Sorry, I wrote this, but I'm not good at reading, so getting better. I'm just getting started into reading. So I found a video for like part one introducing it, and yeah, it's how Avatar portrays masculinity and how to be a man. So hold on, let me get back to my face cam real quick. Yeah, so most of this educational content is going to be focused towards men. It is going to be um, mainly helpful for men, just because I'm learning, and obviously we're yeah, it's just I'm a guy, I'm a dude, and I'm mostly doing this so that I myself can learn. I just want to basically kill two birds with one stone: learn and teach. You know, uh, yeah, teach everyone else through my channel, right? But um, yeah, yeah, that's all that it is, right? So I'm just teaching you guys what I'm trying to learn as an individual, if that makes sense. All right, let's make sure that this audio is still working, and then we'll get into the video. So, yeah, how to be a man, Avatar. This will be linked to the video that everything, every video that I watch will be linked to the video. There will be a link in the description of the video so if you just want to go watch their video, you can. Yeah.
There's no show that depicts growing up quite like Avatar: The
All right,
Last
video's
Airbender.
playing.
I
Let me
rewatched
see
this
if I can go full screen.
show for the first time since I
Oh
was a
no.
kid.
Okay. But I can zoom in like that. Okay. Oh. Okay. W's in the chat. W's in the chat if you can hear.
And I started to pick up on an
If you can hear the
underlying
video.
tone that
W's
resonates
in the
a
chat if
lot
you can
more
hear the
with me
video
now
properly.
as an adult. This being how the show defines what it
Llama.
is to be a man.
Well,
Llama Hookie Bro.
Oops,
W's in
sorry,
the
not
chat.
that clip.
Talk to
W's in the
us.
chat
Come
if you
on,
can
answer
hear
the
the audio.
question and answer
Let me
it.
see.
I'm angry at myself.
www.
In the early
All
2000s,
right.
Nickelodeon had a
We are
problem.
going
It was filled
to
with one-dimensional.
restart. We're going to restart, and then yeah, we're just going to get into it.
There's no show that depicts growing up quite like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I rewatched this show for the first time since I was a kid, and I started to pick up on.
Hold on. How do I get rid of this sidebar? Sorry, I use Keynote to make this, but I should. Yeah. All right. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. All right. Let's get into it. Let's do this.
There's no show that depicts growing up quite like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I rewatched this show for the first time since I was a kid, and I started to pick up on an underlying tone that resonates a lot more with me now as an adult. This being how the show defines what it is to be a man.
Well, hello.
Last time we're rewinding this. Sorry, I'm trying to fix the visuals.
There's
All right.
no show that depicts growing up quite like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I rewatched this show for the first time since I was a kid, and I started to pick up on an underlying tone that resonates a lot more with me now as an adult. This being how the show defines what it is to be a man.
Well, hello.
Oops, sorry, not that clip.
Talk to us. Come on, answer
Sorry,
the question and answer it.
Sorry, I got interrupted. Let me go back a little bit. Sorry, interrupted by someone. I mean, yeah.
This being how the show defines what it is to be a man.
Well, hello.
Oops, sorry, not that clip.
Talk to us. Come on, answer the question and answer
Hey,
it.
this scene. All right, hold on. Yeah, I've watched this. Okay, I've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender almost 4 times now. No. Hold on. first time I watched it, and then I've watched it at least 3 more times after. So I've watched the show 4 times from beginning to end. And this scene always like it this scene always this scene at the beach between Zuko and Azula, and I'm gonna make an episode for both Zuko and Azula, and May and Tylee, and they're all talking, and Zuko comes to the realization that, oh, I'm angry at myself, right? And it's obviously it's really like emotional and intense because of the thing that he does with the fire, and it's just a great scene. It's one of the better episodes in the show, even though most of the episode is just ridiculousness at the beach. But it's fantastic when it comes to examining the characters of Zuko and Azula. Fantastic scene. I didn't know that this was the one that he was going to talk about, because most of the masculinity I imagine was going to be coming from Iroh, who's not even in this episode. But obviously Zuko has learned things from Iroh, and he's wrestling with the fact that he betrayed him in this scene. So yeah, let's keep going.
In the early 2000s, Nickelodeon had a problem. It was filled with one-dimensional characters designed to stay the same forever, never really growing or changing. But Avatar was not like other shows. You see, Avatar understood 2 fundamental truths better than almost any other show in the history of the medium. 1, a show can't go on forever. And 2,
Yeah,
characters have to change.
I've talked about this. I talked about this a lot when rewatching the show just the past few weeks. So Avatar has only 3 seasons, right? And what most shows would have done after having that much success in 3 seasons is they would have just kept making them. They would have just kept making it. Like and my brother and I were talking about this. They could have easily made another few arcs. Like if we considered the first 3 seasons like the first arc, they could have made 2 or 3 more arcs at least. We could, like, Avatar could be as long as One Piece, right? Hot take, it's way better. But it's really interesting. Avatar is really interesting because it operates like an anime in the ways that, yeah, characters change, and it's about growth, and it has really deep lessons. And the art style, obviously it is anime. I'd say Avatar is an anime, right? Because I think what makes an anime is the art style, but less so about where it's made or whatever. But it's really weird because it's not like most other animes where they make one season and see if it works, and then you don't get anything else, or obviously you have the really long ones like Naruto and One Piece. Yeah, let's keep going. Oh, sorry, hold on. There we go.
Perhaps the biggest theme of change is how this show frames masculinity. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that soon. Most networks in the early 2000s wanted something repeatable, something that doesn't change from episode to episode, and where you could watch it from any point without feeling like you're missing something.
And that's fair. That's fair. I mean, if you think about it, these shows were made before streaming. So, yeah, when I used to come home from school as a kid and turn on the TV, and we lived, where we lived, we didn't have streaming or whatever, so we had cable though, and we turn on the TV and whatever's playing, that's what you got to watch, right? So it would make watching. I watched Avatar on Netflix once we got Netflix, but I don't think I would have the same experience if I turn on the TV every once in a while, and because Avatar very much like covers a storyline, right? You can't just jump in the middle and understand everything. So
Avatar is not that. It was designed to mature alongside its audience. And this is true for the entire series, with the tone shifting to be more mature with each episode. You see, Michael and Bryant didn't want a classic animated hero's journey. They wanted a
Basic
finite
creators.
story with a clear beginning and a clear end. They understood that for a story to actually mean something, it has to be brave enough to eventually go away. A problem that a lot of shows today really seem to struggle with.
Yeah.
They weren't just pitching a show about kids throwing rocks in water. They were pitching a coming-of-age experience that was designed to grow with the audience.
Yeah.
They understood that if the world was going to feel heavy, the characters had to feel the weight.
Yeah.
So instead of looking at the show as a whole, I want to focus on 4 characters who embody these shifts, and how each of them
Okay.
challenges a different idea of masculinity.
Nice. Hey, let's guess what the
Zuko,
character
in
is
my
gonna be. Because it's masculinity, right? So it's gotta be Zuko, Sokka, Aang, and Iroh. Those are the guesses. Let's see.
opinion, undergoes one of the greatest redemption arcs in animated history.
Okay, nice.
In book 1, he's
in
rigid.
History, hold
he's
on. No. Best redemption arc in history. Name one better. You can't. Maybe in books. Maybe there's some book out there that has a better redemption arc than Zuko does. But who? And it's hard to do it. It's hard to do it. I can't even think of a redemption arc that's really good in movies. In general, besides Zuko, which is obviously like a show, it's a series, because Zuko's the villain for the whole show, right? And in season 1, he's one of the main villains, and the whole time he's never the main villain, right? But he's just this guy who is trying to capture the Avatar, right? And but we see so much of his life, and the whole time I'm watching this for the first time, I'm like, why do we know so much about this guy? Why should I care about this guy? And then obviously he redeems himself and joins the Avatar and all that, and becomes a part of the group. But the first time I'm watching the show, I'm sitting there like, why should I care about this Zuko kid, right? And it's not even just that. It's like every time Zuko, like we got a whole episode called Zuko Alone, right? And once you finish the show and go back, you're like, wow, this is a really good episode, right? Because you know why you're supposed to care about Zuko. The first time I'm watching it, I'm like, why do I care? Like, I don't want to watch a whole episode about this guy, man. Get me back to the Avatar, But yeah, anyway, let's keep going.
And he's obsessed with the idea of honor.
Yeah.
But if you look closely, honor is just his word for my father's approval. He's performing a version of masculinity that doesn't actually belong to him.
Yeah.
He thinks if he captures the Avatar,
what does honor mean? What does honor mean though? Like, I've thought about, like, what does honor mean though? I can't I can't think of a definition from it. Obviously I could Google it, but that's too easy. I can't think of a definition off the top of my head. I don't know why. Honor is just honor, right? Yeah, let's keep going.
if he wins the big fight, he'll finally be worthy. It's not until book 2, when he's separated from his uncle, that cracks begin to form in his decision-making.
Yeah.
Removed from the structure that once guided him, Zuko is forced to confront his own choices.
Yeah.
For the first time, he begins to question not just what he's doing, but why he's doing it. One of the ways this change is communicated is through Zuko's appearance, with each character arc defining a new chapter in his life.
Yo, I love this.
A new idea for who he is and what he wants to become.
He looks so different. Yo, okay.
What makes Zuko such a great character is that
the hair is important. The hair is important because it's a more obvious way of portraying that time has passed, and you mentally, like, unconsciously connect one type of, like, you unconsciously put one look with the new personality, and it's like a whole new character in your head, which is really smart. And I love it. But also, in case you don't, like, you might not have noticed this, I noticed this. At the beginning of the show, Zuko takes off his shirt to do the Agni Kai with Zhao. and he's pretty muscular, right? He's still a skinnier dude as far as like he doesn't have much body fat, but he's pretty muscular, right? And then the next time we see him with his shirt off in season 3, he's skin and bones, dude. No, he's lost all the muscle because he lived in poverty in the Earth Kingdom, right? Which a lot of people think that's just attention to detail, but the skinnier he gets, the better the better he gets at bending, right? Because his bending is really lacking in season 1, right? And then he gets better throughout season 2. At least I believe he helps Azula take Ba Sing Se, and then during season 3, at the beginning of season 3 is really good, and then obviously he joins the group and he has a temporary like block where he has to find a new fuel source, an emotional fuel source for his bending, and then once he goes with Aang, finds the last Dragon Masters, he becomes really powerful. Still skinny though, right? But the skinnier he gets, the more powerful of a bender he is. It shows like less reliance on his strength, on physical strength, more reliance on like spiritual strength and control. Yeah. And just peace, right? As far as morals and like being okay with yourself, right? What's the word?
He's
What's the word
flawed.
for that? Security, emotional security. Words, yeah.
In Book 1, he's so fixated on capturing Aang that he burns down Kyoshi Island, hurting innocent people in order to regain his honor. Then in Book 2, just when it feels like he's starting to change, he betrays Iroh and Ba Sing Se and sides with Azula. And that's what makes his growth feel real. It takes him nearly the entire series to finally see clearly.
Yeah.
He
I
realizes
wish we
that
got more
power,
time.
the kind his father had,
I wish we had more time when Zuko joins the group, right? But it feels like, because by the end of the show, Zuko's a part of the group, right? Why is that? Because every episode between Zuko joining the group and like the end of the show, I'm pretty sure, except for like the play episode, are literally just Zuko going on a trip with one member of Team Avatar, and like we get to know him better, we get to see a different side of him, and he builds a bond with every individual member of Team Avatar, so to the point where he's a part of the group, right? Even though I wish we had more time. This is why I kind of wanted them to make another arc, because they could have. I might talk about this in the writing episode. Avatar could definitely have pulled off another arc, but I wouldn't want them to make a 4th season, right? I wouldn't want them to just make a 4th season, because it would probably suck. Because if you only plan to make one more, you're planning for it to fail, right? I hate it when studios do this, man. If you think something did really good, and you come to the end of it, you got 2 options, okay? Your options are either end it, kill it, let it die, right? It lived its life, right? Let it die. It had a great run, right? And a lot of people, that's never the wrong decision. That's never a bad idea. The other thing that you could do that usually isn't a bad idea, you can still mess it up, but it's harder to mess up, right? Is you go, okay, we want more of this. Let's plan another 3 seasons. Basically, how can we double what we just did with all the same characters, the same world, the same everything, right? They totally could have done that. They 100% could have done that in Avatar, right? But people wanted another season where it was just about finding Zuko's mom or whatever. That wouldn't have worked. Because, yeah, finding Zuko's mom is important emotionally, and a lot of people care about it, sure. But it's not, there's not enough stakes, right, to carry another arc, right? That might be what gets them, on a quest in the first few episodes, and then throughout the season they're still looking for his mom, but more threats come up, right? And they deal with other villains. They could have done that. They could have incorporated Zuko's mom, but it couldn't have been the only. It couldn't have been the only focus of the season 4. It would have been trash. It would have been terrible. I don't know what I know that there were talks about making a season 4. I never liked that idea. When it comes to any fandom or like, any show or whatever, or any movie or any book, like any form of media that's fictional, that's just made purely for entertainment. I never liked the idea of just making one more, because you're setting yourself up. You're assuming that one more is not going to do very well. It's a cash grab, right? Let's keep going.
Is a lie.
For so long, all I wanted was for you to love me, to
Hold
accept
on.
me.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Yeah. Zuko. Sorry, I go off on tangents. Yeah. Zuko, honor.
I thought it was my honor that I wanted, but really, I was just trying to please you. You, my father.
Perhaps the biggest force behind Zuko's redemption arc is his uncle, Iroh.
Yeah.
Iroh represents an entirely different model of masculinity, one rooted in patience, compassion, and self-reflection rather than control
Zuko
and
Iroh are the
dominance.
ones we got.
Iroh is the ideal representation of masculinity in the show, calm, restrained, and kind to all of those around him.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Iroh's kindness isn't because he's a nice old man. It's because
No.
he's a survivor. He's a man who has already seen what having true power gets you, and he lost everything he had to get there.
He lost his son.
Iroh represents a model of masculinity rooted in restraint. He loves tea,
Yup.
music, and flowers, things that most warrior shows would code as weak.
Yep.
But Avatar shows us that Iroh is the most dangerous man alive because he has conquered his own ego. He doesn't want Zuko to be a powerful prince.
Big.
He wants Zuko to be a whole person. He proves that the ultimate masculine trait
Hey.
isn't the ability.
Yo. On a real note, though, this is what Iroh proves. On a real note, though, and this is real. I'm gonna be on a tangent for a minute. On a real note, though. Oh, you said turn it down. Sorry, I didn't see that. Okay. On a real note, though, I'm breaking out the pen and whiteboard for this. Okay. On a real note, though, I don't need that. Look, the most important thing is in life, right? Is not the exterior, it's the interior. You understand? And it's not just the content of your character, although that's important. And that's what most people mean when they say stuff like, it's not about what you have on the outside, it's about what you have on the inside. Okay? Your priorities, your true priorities, are what determine your life, right? Iroh prioritizes drinking tea and morals and playing a game of Pai Sho and making sure that his nephew redeems the Fire Nation. He prioritizes all of that above becoming the Fire Lord, having power himself, right? Above all of that. He probably comes to that realization when he loses his son Lu Ten in Ba Sing Se, right? The exterior is never going to be as important to you as the interior. Most people just don't realize that. And we see this in the world today in so many ways. In so many ways. When people care, when people want to show power, right? Through, and it might not be, Fire Nation level power. It might not be being the ruler of a nation and taking over the world. Oh, I got really bad acne right now. Oh, anyway, and that might not be what it is. Okay, it might be making more money, and it might be, hitting the gym and getting as shredded as possible. These are all good things. I'm not saying that any of these things are bad or should be frowned upon, obviously, but the interior is always going to be more important than the exterior. You understand? So you got to decide what trade-offs you want to make. You can't have everything, right? All right, let's keep going. Hold on. Akil said turn. Lama Villager said turn it down. Okay. Let me turn it down. Like the volume on the computer chat? Or the... Hold on.
To conquer a city, but the courage to forgive yourself. Sokka is perhaps my favorite example of masculinity because he represents the average man. Sokka starts
Nice.
off as probably the most
Nice.
annoying.
Hold on, that's good. I'm gonna rewind that. Okay. I'm gonna rewind that. W stream the video volume. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, Sokka's the average man. I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna like breaking this down.
Masculinity because he represents the average man. Sokka starts off as
'Cause he's not a
probably the
bender.
most annoying and insufferable character in the show. He is sexist,
That's true.
full of
Yo.
himself.
Okay. That doesn't really bother me because everyone's got character flaws in this, and I think that whole episode where Sokka's being like sexist on Kyoshi Island is actually kind of entertaining and kind of like, I'm not saying I agree with him obviously, but it what's the word? It's realistic. It's based on Asian cultures, right? And they live in like a time that more resembles the past when we look at our own timeline, right? They don't have cars or whatever. So it makes sense that a dude would be sexist, and it's more realistic. But also, obviously I don't like the fact. Yeah. Anyways, also, shoot, what was I about to say? I was about to get deep on this. Yeah. I didn't find Sokka very annoying. I did find him. Anyways, I just thought he made the show feel more realistic, I guess. Anyways, let's keep going.
And has almost no skills to back any of his bravado.
Yeah, that
Having
annoys
been
me.
the oldest man
I wish
left behind
okay.
after.
This is what annoys me about Sokka. Okay, hold on. They did Sokka dirty when it comes to the film. They should have introduced the Sword Master, Pian Dao. They should have introduced him much earlier, right? And I wish Sokka wasn't as helpless as he is in the show. That really annoys me, But also at the same time, everyday man, right? Yeah. I just wish, I just feel bad because, like, I just feel bad for him the whole show. The whole show, I just feel bad for him because, like, he's not, I don't want to say he's not good at anything. And people say, especially in the show, they try to overemphasize how smart Sokka is and that he's like a genius. And he's smart. He invents things and he has great battle strategy and he has great sense of reasoning. He has great logic throughout the entire show. But there's also this where he has no physical skill. And this is all anime, by the way. This is all anime. Everything in anime is super physical skill oriented when it comes to like magic and powers and abilities and martial arts and all of that. It's in every anime. It's not just Avatar. It's every anime, right? Every character can do something. It's something different. It's fun to watch, right? In Avatar, Sokka legit, except for his brain. He's got nothing. Even at the end of the show when he becomes a swordsman, Zuko is still better than him, right? And that annoys me because I'm the guy who looks at everyone and goes, everyone should have their own thing that they're good at, right? And Sokka, he's got nothing else. He should be the best swordsman. But Zuko has 2 swords and he'd be spinning around and everything, doing backflips, matching it with his firebending. Zuko's a better swordsman than Sokka. And we got to live with that. And Sokka has to live with that, right? Unless he wants to devote several years to his life to becoming better, which he could, but obviously we didn't get to see that by the end of the show. All right, let's keep going.
All the other men left for war.
Sorry. Another thing that could have been explored deeper in another arc, but anyways.
Takes on the role of the protector.
Nice.
He leans into this idea that being a man means being the strongest person in the room. And then he meets the Kyoshi warriors. They don't just beat him, they expose the flaw in his logic. They show him that this idea of strength is actually his biggest weakness. And instead of doubling down, Sokka adapts. He bows. He asks for help. In a show filled with people who can move mountains and conjure lightning.
Yeah, so when Sokka gets humiliated, and then he asks the Kyoshi warriors to teach him. Sorry, I've seen the show a few times now. Every time I watch that episode, I'm like, it's a bit unrealistic. I feel like people would be more stubborn. Not just Sokka. I'd be more stubborn, right? I'm not sexist to the extent that Sokka was at the beginning of the show, but I feel like if I was humiliated that badly, I'd be more stubborn in something that I had like subconscious deep belief in. Yeah, for sure. Anyway.
Is just a guy, but he finds a third path: strategy, creativity, leadership. By book 3, Sokka isn't the guy punching his way to the finish line. He's the guy making sure the heroes have a finish line to get to.
Yeah.
He's the one coordinating the invasion. He doesn't grow by getting stronger. He grows by becoming more aware. He redefines strength as utility.
Yeah.
Then we have Aang, and Aang is a direct challenge to the action hero trope. We usually think of the strongest man as the guy who can inflict the most damage. And by definition, Aang is the most powerful person in the show. He's the Avatar. He can master the elements. He's the only one who can end the war. Yet his entire philosophy is built on avoidance. Airbending isn't about hitting, it's about moving. It's about freedom. But more importantly, Aang carries that softness into a world that is demanding he become hard. By book 3, everyone, even the past avatars, is telling him he has to kill.
I want to talk about this for a minute. So, and I want to do an entire video on Aang, and I watched a video on Aang's philosophy actually, and it talks about how avoidant Aang is. At the end of the show, Aang finds a way to defeat Ozai without killing him, and that really annoys me. Right, that really annoys me because I wish that Aang's lesson throughout the show was to be more confrontational. I wish that's what he learned. Obviously, that wasn't the show that the moral that the show was trying to teach, but Zuko goes on a journey of finding more peace and being less confrontational, less stubborn, less headstrong, right? Being more humble, lowering your ego, being more patient, being more like Iroh, essentially, right? He goes on this journey throughout the show, and that's Zuko's journey. I wanted Aang's to be the contrast to that, right? Because there's nothing wrong with being confrontational when it's the fate of the world. You know what I mean? And I wish, and it's, obviously people make jokes because, Aang discovered energy bending even though he's killed people before, right? He's hurt people before just as like collateral, right? Which, makes sense. People have definitely been like in the North Pole. I think a lot of that was in the Avatar state though, but still, it's something that I wish they did that differently. I wish they did that differently. I wish that at the end of the show, Aang killed Ozai, so that he learned his lesson. You got to be confrontational, right? Zuko becomes less confrontational, more avoidance, I guess, or more at peace. But there are times in the show, right, when Aang makes life harder for the people around him because of his avoidance, right? I don't think that's something necessarily to be praised, right? I don't think that's necessarily a positive masculine trait. I think it can be, right? Just like I think being confrontational can be a good thing. I also think it can be a bad thing when taken too far, right? But I wish, yeah, I wish Aang at the end of the show. This is probably going to talk about how he found a way to stay true to himself or whatever till the end of the show. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish that Aang learned to, to make hard decisions when hard decisions had to be made. All right, let's keep going.
The Fire Lord. They're telling him that masculinity, in its final form, is violence. And Aang says
That's
no.
true. That's true. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, everyone tells Aang that he needs to be violent, and I wish they also didn't handle this very well in the show. They didn't handle it very well because they didn't introduce the idea that Aang was this dude who really values life until the last episode, right? Or like the second to last episode, where Zuko says, "What are you gonna do when you meet my father?" They don't open that can until literally the end of the show. This is something that Aang should have been struggling with since season 2, right? And also, I don't think we get to see enough hate from Aang towards the Fire Nation, right? I wish we saw more where Aang sort of became like Jet, if you guys know who Jet was, obviously. I wish that Aang sort of developed this blind hatred towards the Fire Nation in season 1 and sort of expressed that and then learned to move past that and forgive the Fire Nation for genociding his people, right? Because he just moves on from that way too quickly, I feel like, right? And he doesn't hold enough resentment towards the Fire Nation. I wish he forgives them at the end of season 1. Season 2, he starts grappling with the idea of, oh, I have to kill Ozai. And I don't want to because I value life, right? Obviously, we know he's a vegetarian and we know different things. We know about the monks. We know that the airbending is avoidance and all of that. But it's just all thrown in your face way too late. But if we were talking about this in season 2, energy bending, it at least makes it makes more sense from a storyline perspective. I still wish he would have just bit the bullet and killed Ozai, but obviously that's not what the writers and the creators of the show decided to go with. So that's clearly not the message they were trying to communicate, which in that case, it's still my favorite show of all time. Thank you for making it. All right, let's keep going.
Not because he's afraid, but because he has moral restraint. He searches for a third option.
Yeah.
He chooses energy bending, a power that doesn't kill his enemy,
We could have had,
but removes his enemy's ability to do
time out. Okay, remember the episode where Aang and Zuko go to find the dragons or the original firebending masters, and then it turns out that they're dragons, right? And Aang is like, at the beginning of the episode, Zuko can't firebend, and so that's why they have to find the original firebending masters, right? And it all seems a bit random, like why can't Zuko firebend? And they do tie it in pretty well, right? But I can tell from an outsider that they need an excuse for Aang and Zuko to go and bond and develop Zuko's character inside of the group, right? So that it feels like Zuko is a part of the group, right? And I can kind of see, I can see through that, right? And that Zuko not being able to firebend is kind of a cop out, even though it does tie in they made it tie in pretty well. Props to them. But imagine, I think this would have been better. Imagine if Zuko, right, and Aang go looking for another way after Aang's been struggling with the idea that he has to kill Ozai for a few seasons. And so they go looking for another way to solve the issue for an episode. And then they discover energy bending. I think that would have been really cool. I think we could have had really cool conversations between the two of them while they're looking for it, right? And yeah, obviously the lion turtles and everything tie into the lore, unless they went on a lion turtle, they'd have to change the entire fundamentals of the show. But I'm talking about like if the writers had decided to do this then, right? In season 3, when Zuko joins the group. If they decided to do this then, we still don't know about the origins of the... Because here's the thing about the Lion Turtles. It's way too ready. Oh, sorry. Whiteboard. I thought I would need it, but I'm just too good at explaining things. I don't need it. The Lion Turtle makes no sense until Korra. Until we learn about the first Avatar in Korra season 2. Until then, the Lion Turtle makes no sense whatsoever. It's just out of the blue. And I don't like that. I hate when things are out of the blue. This is something that annoys me with most animes. Okay? First of all, it takes more than cool visuals to impress me. Avatar has amazing visuals. Amazing visuals. Right? But, and especially because it's all hand-drawn. Beautiful. Beautiful. But that's not all it takes to impress me. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. So yeah, just think on that. But either way, obviously, not going to change the show. And I'm sure a lot of people would disagree that, they think that the Lion Turtle and energy bending and Aang not killing Ozai is a better decision than what I'm proposing. What I would have done. But anyways, let's keep going.
It's the ultimate rejection of what is normal. Aang wins by staying a kid at heart in a world that wants him to be a soldier.
Okay, I actually believe in this
And in a
moral.
show-
I believe in that moral. I believe in that moral. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe Aang shouldn't. What I'm saying is Aang either should have killed Ozai at the end of the show, or they should have started dealing with the issue a long time ago. Right? The whole thing with the Lion Turtle, it's just too out of nowhere and clearly just plot convenience. It's just so random. It's one of those things where it's like it's so random, and like in a show where everything's either connected to the spirit world and everything's got a spiritual answer and solution, it kind of makes sense and you just go with it, right? But if you think about it, like no one talked about Lion Turtles. No one. Until the end. Dude, there's like, it annoys me. Anyways, let's keep going. But I do like this message. But if you don't want Aang to kill Ozai, start the issue a long time before the last episode. The last episode.
About war, that might be the most radical idea of all. Avatar reminds us that there is always another way. Just because we are told there are only two choices doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
The world of Avatar tried to force these same binaries onto a group of kids.
Yeah.
It told Aang he had to be a killer, it told Zuko he had to be a conqueror, and it told Sokka he had to be a soldier. But the brilliance of this story is that it rejects the premise entirely. It suggests that the most profound act of maturity...
Something I do like about Sokka's character is he never... That's true. Maybe the beauty of Sokka's character, like I know I said, and I'm going to contradict myself a lot because I just change my opinion a lot when I contemplate. But yeah, if Sokka like went on a warrior arc and became a warrior in the show, what message are they communicating? Right? Sokka basically communicate, because they're already communicating that through Zuko. They're already communicating, right, like the value in mastery, physical mastery, right, in Zuko. So what do they want to communicate through Sokka? Well, maybe you don't have to be the strongest dude on the battlefield, right? Maybe not everything's about personal strength, right? Well, hold on. It is an avatar, right? It factually is. When the world is at stake, when the fate of the world is at stake, how much power you have is very important, right? But you're traveling, you are with the Avatar. And the best waterbender in the world, Katara, and the best earthbender of all time, Toph, and the Fire Prince Zuko and your girlfriend is a warrior, Suki, right? You have all these people. You don't need to be the strongest guy. And that's probably what Sokka learned. That's probably the message communicated through Sokka. Everyone has to play their part. And that's not Sokka's part. Sokka could have trained with Piandao, and yeah, it would have been cool to see. Absolutely. So I'm actually going to retract my statement from earlier. I like Piandao. I do wish he was more in the show more. I wish they showed the relationship between Zuko and Piandao more, right? Because Zuko did train under Piandao once his father realized that he wasn't that great of a bender, at least not as good as Azula, right? So he did train under Piandao as a swordsman. So I wish that they showed more of that, and I wish that they at least acknowledged that they knew each other. At the end, Zuko didn't bow to Piandao with Sokka, but obviously, yeah, it's just when the White Lotus, right? When they're taking back Ba Sing Se, right? But back to my point earlier, yeah, that's not his role. He doesn't have to do that, right? We had you need a warrior. You have you're with the Avatar. yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. I don't know if that's what he's saying, but that's a great point. Let's keep going.
Isn't hardening yourself to fit a brutal world. It's having the imagination to find a path that is right for you. This is the ultimate freedom the show offers us. The realization that your identity isn't something written for you by your past. It's a choice you make every single day. Because when you stop believing there's another way, you've already lost. And when that weight feels like it's becoming too much to carry, when you can't see the other way and the darkness feels infinite, we have to remember what an old man who lost everything and still found a reason to smile said.
And there is no hope at all.
No, Zuko. You must never give in to despair. Allow yourself to slip down that road and you surrender to your lowest instincts. In the darkest times, hope is something you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength.
Yeah. And that's why Iroh is perfectly content serving tea in Ba Sing Se. Interior, the interior is way more important than the external. Let's keep going.
And this is Macer May. If you made it to the end of this video, please consider subscribing. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it would really help me out.
W channel.
If you enjoyed this one, press that like button down below. And if you haven't done so yet, thank you for subscribing and clicking that bell.
Very well made. Very well made.
Just actually make sure you're notified when something comes to the channel. And this has been...
Yeah. All right, we're going to go over this again. How many subs does he have? All right, I'm subbing. Unless I'm not signed in on Keynote. Okay. We're going to go over this again. I'm not going to play the whole video.
In the history of the media.
Let's just find a cool place to pause. Or, never mind, I'm getting a face cam. Okay. We're bringing out the whiteboard. Let's set this up to where you guys can see it. Okay. Is this better? I don't know. I feel like I'm too zoomed in with my camera. Okay. How's this? Okay. Do we need the whiteboard? All right, let's break down this video. Oh, this is gonna get old. Okay. I'm kneeling on my knees right now, by the way. I really need to reevaluate my setup, but hold on. Okay. You know what? Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. I'm gonna reevaluate my setup and figure it out later. Okay. I'm gonna use a notebook actually. I just really want to make sure that I get all my points across, all the takeaways from this video, and what I have to add. Okay. So we've got 4 characters that depict masculinity in Avatar, right? That is going to be Zuko, Sokka, Aang, and Iroh. Okay. Sorry, I have my to-do list at the top of the page, so I'm going to cover that up. But I don't know. I don't know if it's backwards or if you can read that. Okay. Zuko, Sokka, Aang, and Iroh. Okay. Let's go one at a time. What do we have to learn from Zuko? Okay. Obviously, he has the best redemption arc in fiction. Right? Best redemption arc in fiction. What did he learn? What can we learn about masculinity through Zuko? Okay. Well, and a lot of this is going to overlap with Iroh because Iroh is the one who showed Zuko, right? Yeah, it's not all about the exterior. It's about the interior. That's more so with Iroh, though. I feel like that's more portrayed through Iroh. What is the important thing when it comes to Zuko? What does he learn? Let's think. Because I'm learning with you guys. Pleasing your father isn't everything, right? Obviously, that's not applicable to everything, to everyone. W channel. Yeah, W channel. That's not applicable to everyone. But most people have something that they tie their honor or their accomplishment in their life to, whether that's their career, their boss, or, maybe you play a sport, that's your coach, right? And a healthy amount of wanting to make them proud, your parents, right? A healthy amount of wanting to make them proud is a good thing, right? But when you attach your entire identity and your entire self-worth to that thing, that's where it becomes a bad thing. That's where it becomes destructive to yourself, and you can become destructive to other people. Now, Zuko didn't make that himself. That, and we're going to talk about Fire Nation culture, right? Because Avatar, the cultures in Avatar between the different kingdoms are actually tied to real nations today and real people groups and their cultures, and we can dive into this even deeper. But society put that in Zuko. You understand? He's the Fire Prince. His father's never been proud of him because of his lack of firebending ability, right? Sorry if that was really loud. This is my mic. Yeah. So he's always been frowned upon by his father. His father is the Fire Lord. Okay? Everyone has big expectations for him. He feels like he's letting everyone down because he's not his sister. So, yeah. So that's what Zuko learns about himself, really, is honor, this thing that you're chasing, which he wasn't really even chasing honor. He was chasing the approval of his father. Right? So that's the important thing. The main takeaway from Iroh, I feel like, is the interior versus the exterior. Right? And it's about your priorities. Right? A lot of people can be happy where they're at. When they really, because you might have to change your priorities. Right? What are your priorities? My priority is, hot girlfriend, big muscles. Lots of money. None of those things are necessarily bad, but none of those things are going to bring you peace or satisfaction or the sense of I've done enough, right? There's always going to be more money to make. There's always going to be someone bigger than you, right? So Iroh reaches a level of maturity where he enjoys a cup of tea, more than ruling the Fire Nation. And he's perfectly content. He gets the opportunity to fight Ozai at the end of the show, and he chooses not to. Why? He doesn't care. He doesn't want to rule the Fire Nation. And I think that's important with Sokka too. But let's move on to Sokka next, I guess. That's important with Sokka too. But what the real lesson to be learned with Sokka is play your part. Hey, that episode where Sokka learns a bit of sword fighting from Piandao, he really dives into the episode really dives into the fact that Sokka is insecure, that he's not a bender, and that he's not a great fighter. He's insecure about that. He was the only his dad left to go fight in the war when he was what, 8 or 9? So yeah, he never got to learn how to fight. He was the only dude in his village. Right? So he never got to learn how to fight. Like Zuko. Right? So he was the only boy in his village. Yeah, he never got to learn how to fight like Zuko. Even as a non-bender, he could have been better than he was, right? But he never had that opportunity, right? How does he make up for it? He plays his part. He doesn't have to be the strongest guy, dude. He's with the Avatar and the greatest water and earthbenders of all time and the Fire Prince. He doesn't need to be strong. He needs to be smart. Because guess what? They're all kids. They're all teenagers. So what do they need? They need brains, they need maturity, they need logic, they need reasoning. So Sokka sees that and steps in. Sokka was not a great strategist at the beginning of the show. He sees the gap that needs to be filled and fills it. So there's a degree of what's the word? There's a degree of sacrifice to that, right? Because Sokka doesn't spend the whole show learning how to fight. He learns a little bit from Suki and he learns a little bit from Piandao, but he doesn't learn the rest. He doesn't spend the rest of the show learning how to fight. He spends the rest of the show being smarter. You understand? All right. Aang. What do we learn about Aang when it comes to masculinity? Well, like the video said, everyone wants him to kill the Fire Lord. And again, I don't even think this... There's a broader and then there's a more specific. Because this is barely a theme because they only introduced this in the last episode. We only deal with this in the last episode. Right? Aang... anyways, we only deal with this in the last episode. Yes, he doesn't conform to what everyone tells him. He talks with his past lives. They all tell him to kill Ozai, right? He finds another way. He doesn't even find another way though. That's the other thing. He doesn't even find I don't like this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like how the show did this. Because he doesn't even find it. It falls in his lap because of plot convenience, right? But yeah, the lines are... Anyways, I really don't like this when it comes to the writing. But let's look broader. Being non-confrontational, right? Obviously, I've already talked about the lesson that I wish Aang learned in the show. And I've talked about a way that the show could have portrayed their message towards Aang, that they communicated better, right? But yeah, what do we learn through Aang? On a real note, what does the show do well when communicating through Aang? Staying true to who you are, right? Staying true to the values that you made, despite the opinions of other people. And despite what other people think, right? And yes, you can always find another way. I just wish that they spent a few episodes, at least, of Aang trying to find another way. And not even back to back, right? I wish that it was a season where it was like sprinkled in a little bit, you know? And then towards the end of the show, Aang and Zuko go on a journey to find another way. That would have been sick. I would have loved that, right? I liked the episode with the dragons, but I think an episode with Zuko and Aang trying to go find a way to defeat Ozai without killing him would have been absolute cinema. And Zuko could forgive his father. Hey, that would have been so cool. That would have been so cool. But anyways, yeah, Zuko. Sorry, yeah. So what do we learn through Aang? Yeah, and staying childlike throughout the show. Now, this is not a luxury afforded to the rest of afforded to a lot of the people in the gang, right? Because Sokka actually plays a role in shielding Aang, right? At least I feel like from shielding Aang from the emotional turmoils of the world, right? He's the Avatar, right? So he's dealing with big problems. Sokka and the rest of them try to deal with the smaller problems, right? I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I mean that's masculinity in Avatar. I don't know how long I've been live. But I think I'm going to end this stream. I might come on a bit later. What time is it? It's 3:48. Oh, I haven't even been live an hour. Or barely an hour. All right, I'm going to cut it here. Hope you all enjoyed episode 1 of Deported Archives. I will be back. Hope you all have a blessed day. Stay tuned. Episode 2. I'm gonna give you a bit of a spoiler. Sorry, I zoomed in a lot. Oh shoot. I'm gonna give you guys a bit of a spoiler when it comes to episode 2. We're gonna be looking at Zuko. I've got an hour video here from this goated channel. I don't know what it's called. Hello Future Me. Hey, shout out Hello Future Me. They're really good. This is the length of a film. This is the length of a movie, and it's just dissecting Zuko's journey throughout the show. So we're gonna dive deeper into this, and then we're gonna cover Iroh, Be a True Man. This is also, I've got 2 videos here. Yeah, but I hope that this might get a bit redundant. I've covered most of the broad stuff already in this episode. This might get a bit redundant as we cover each character, but yeah, I hope that you all have a blessed day. But for the record though, Psychology and Avatar, I'm not gonna do it every day back to back. You might do the next episode next week, right? I might do the next episode either today or like in a little bit, because yeah, I want to cover a lot of topics on this show. But yeah, peace out. Hope you all have a blessed day. Obviously, there aren't many people in my chat, but yeah, I'm gonna be pumping out a few videos, gonna be clipping, gonna be doing some shorts, and hopefully we will get these views rolling. All right. Yep. God bless all of you. Hope you have a blessed day.